Long ago, in a village nestled between grey mountains and dark forest, there lived a merchant of moderate fortune named Aldrich. He had 3 children, each born of the same mother, each raised in the same household, yet the youngest was treated as though she bore a curse. Her name was Beauty, given at birth because the midwife had declared it so. She shall grow into her name, mark my words. But her mother, Margot, a woman of bitter ambitions, had only an insult. A daughter. The child was supposed to be a son to carry the merchant's name to distant trading ports. Beauty's mother never forgave her for this transgression of being born female. When the infant cried, Margot called her a mewling nuisance. When she learned to walk, she was clumsy and graceless. Her 2 older brothers, Marcus and Thomas, inherited their mother's contempt like a family heirloom, polishing it daily until it gleamed with malice. On Beauty's 16th year, her father announced he would travel to the great city 3 weeks' journey away. He would conduct business, purchase fine goods, and expand the family's wealth. Before he departed, he asked each child what gift they desired upon his return. Marcus demanded a sword of Damascus steel. Thomas requested a bolt of silk from distant Cathay. When he turned to Beauty, she stood in the kitchen, her hands deep in bread dough. She did not look up. "Father," she said softly, "bring me nothing. Your safe return is gift enough." Her mother's face darkened with rage. "See," she spat at her husband. "The self-righteous harlot. She performs goodness like a street player performs tragedy, all false tears and empty gestures." But Aldrich felt a strange ache in his chest, and he pressed a purse of coins into Beauty's hand when her mother was not watching. "Buy yourself something," he whispered. "Something for yourself alone." Beauty did not weep, though her eyes glistened. She had learned that tears were a luxury she could not afford. The weeks Aldrich traveled were, strangely, the most peaceful of Beauty's life. Without his presence to remind her of her inferiority in his eyes, without his indifference to curb her mother's cruelty, Margot's wrath burned hotter. She set impossible tasks. Beauty must scrub the heart until her hands bled, must prepare elaborate meals only to have them declared inedible, must mend garments until her eyes burned and crossed. Beauty endured with a quietness that infuriated her mother more than any rebellion could have. On the evening before Aldrich's expected return, as Beauty walked in the kitchen preparing the first decent meal she'd been allowed to make in weeks, the door flew open with violence. Her father stood in the doorway, but he was transformed. His clothes hung upon him like garments on a scarecrow. His face was gaunt, marked by fresh scars. His right arm was bandaged, and he moved as though every joint held broken glass. "Father!" Beauty cried out, moving toward him. But Marcus blocked her path, his hand raised. "The merchant has returned, and look, he returns as a beggar returns to his hovel. What misfortune has befallen you, that you look like a ghost of yourself?" Aldrich slumped into a chair, and slowly, he told his story. The journey had been cursed from the start. Bandits had attacked on the 3rd night, scattering his goods and his guards. His carefully assembled cargo was lost to a storm at river crossing. The merchants in the city had conspired against him, driving down prices and driving up cost. But this was not the worst of it. On his return journey, desperate to recoup something of his losses, he had ridden from the main roads. He sought a shortcut through a forest known to be treacherous but quicker than the official routes. He had ridden for hours without seeing soul or shelter until, at dusk, he emerged into a clearing. There stood a magnificent manor house, all turrets and windows alight with golden fire. At the gate stood iron sculptures of beasts, wolves and ravens and creatures unnamed. Despite the eerie grandeur, Aldrich was desperate. He needed shelter for the night. The gates opened of their own accord. Inside, he found tables laden with food, beds prepared with linens of impossible softness, and baths filled with hot water that seemed to know when he desired it. But he saw no one, no servants, no master, no host. He ate. He bathed. He slept in a bed that cradled him like a mother's arms. In the morning, he woke to find his wound tended with herbs that smelled of magic, his clothes clean and mended. And there, on a table beside a single window that looked out onto the manor's impossible garden, sat a single rose, red as fresh blood, perfect as if it had been crafted by an artisan rather than grown from soil. "I thought of your youngest," Aldrich said, his voice soft with memory. "Beauty. My youngest. I thought, here is a flower worthy of her." He plucked it from the table. And then the world exploded into darkness and pain. A voice, ancient and sorrowful, echoed through the manor. It spoke of broken hospitality, of theft among grace, of debts that must be paid. Aldrich felt claws, or were they hands, tear into his shoulder. He was cast out into the forest, his arm bleeding, his mind fractured. He stumbled for 2 days before a passing shepherd found him and brought him to a healer. It took another week before he could travel home. "But you have the rose," Beauty whispered. She looked at the flower in her father's trembling hand. Even in the dim kitchen light, it glowed with an otherworldly luminescence. "I do," her father said. "And with it, a curse. The master of that manor, or perhaps a curse of that manor itself, demands payment. Either I return within the moon cycle, or someone must go in my stead. Someone must take my place to settle this debt of honor, this theft of a rose."